Oop, leaving the whole computer back there. Hello, hello. Welcome in. Welcome back. Not that anyone's here yet, but when you get here, welcome in. Um, we're gonna have a bit of a short one on an odd day. So who knows if anyone's even gonna find me today. But all three of our cured salmons have been in the fridge curing for 48 hours ish. So today's the day when we need to check on them. So, Saizen, you're first. Welcome in. Um, oh, well, you got to get on it quick. Um, but yeah, so we've got three recipes. We've got shiozake, which I think is going to end up being my dinner tonight. We've got gravlax, and we've got my own experiment. I've been treating the two that actually have recipes the way they're meant to be. My own concoction, I haven't done anything special with, so who knows? Um, um, but the one I'm most excited about is the shiozake. So I'm gonna probably end up making. I'm gonna make a Japanese breakfast for dinner, but I'm also gonna substitute a bunch of stuff because I don't have all the ingredients. I'm also gonna try to not make a lot of dishes today because we have a big Valentine's Day event tomorrow. I'm having a big Valentine's Day event tomorrow, and I don't want to have a bunch of extra dishes to chew through before that. So, yeah. So that's the plan. I didn't give anyone a heads up unless you watched the Saturday show that I was going to jump in on Monday. So let's see how this goes. This is also part of the whole scheme of I got to get over the hump on this instant upload thing. But but let's get over here and check on our fish. We'll just pull them all out. So this is my concoction. If you'll remember, it was curing salt, powdered sugar, paprika, and black pepper, and then I wrapped it and kind of squeezed the air out of it. And it's flattened out a little bit. I didn't press it or anything. I just kind of left it in there. As you can see, it expressed quite a bit of liquid into the bag, which is promising. But then it also kind of sat in the liquid, so we'll see how it behaves. There's no obvious off smells coming from the bag, which means we haven't ruptured it and it's not stinky enough to get through the plastic. So looking good on that one. The second one here is the Gravlax, which you'll recall was two pieces sandwiched together with salt, sugar, pepper, and dill. I don't know about this one. We'll have to see what it looks like when I get in there. I'm just pulling them all out at the moment. Um, the Gravlax has had a weight on it, not a heavy weight, but a bit of a weight on it, and it's squeezing out quite a lot of liquid. But there's nowhere for it to go, so it's pooling in there. I think the traditional way to do this is to press it with somewhere for the liquid to drain. I flipped this guy a couple times and put the weights back on him as he was pressing. The Gravlax is meant to be eaten raw, so we'll test it. If it smells a little bit off, I might try cooking that one. The third one, and the one I'm most interested in because I've never done it before, and it's supposed to be a real recipe as opposed to this thing, is shiozake. Now this one, I needed to change the towels every time I flipped it, and they're reasonably dry this time. They're a tiny bit damp, but they're not wet. I also realized after I had started them that you're meant to lay them with the skin up and then flip that way, and I had them sideways. So mine are going to be hard to cook, but they've firmed up quite a bit. They kind of hold their shape. They're very firm to the touch. They have a very little smell at all. They don't smell off at all. There's no off smell to them. Ah, nothing's fishy in here, although there is fish in here. That's one of my key markers is there any kind of off smell? And you'll remember the Gravlax and the Shiozake were both treated with alcohol before I did the curing, and that should pull off any fishy smell. Um, Overall, these guys seem pretty good. There's no loose salt, so they've absorbed the salt. They have a nice clean smell. Faintly salmony, but not like oceany. Also, welcome in, Selena. I almost skipped that part. Um, so I'm going to grill one of these, and by grill I mean in the British sense, where I'm going to turn my broiler on and broil the heck out of one of these. And I'll make a little dinner, it's going to be a breakfast setting, but I'm going to make a dinner setting for myself with one of these as the main event. They don't take very long to cook though, so we don't need to start that in advance. The one I want to check first is this guy because he's the one I'm most worried about, and we might have to throw him away. If he goes stinky, we're not giving him a second chance. Oh, he's leaking a tiny bit. I didn't use heavy plastic for this either. Let's play it safe and open him in a edged vessel, just in case we have a leak. I don't want fish juice all over here. Especially since he seems to have. It doesn't seem like he's leaking, but there was a little bit of moisture on the outside of the bag. Maybe it's just condensation, but roll my sleeves up. So yeah, no recipe, and I don't know what I'm doing. So open it up, take a whiff. Ooh, huh. What else did I put in this one? I think I added liquid smoke to this, right? It smells smoky. I'm pretty sure I added liquid smoke. Did I also add smoked paprika to that? Interesting. It doesn't smell off. There's no off smell that I'm picking up from it. Before I manhandle it directly, I am going to wash my hands with some soap. It's going to be a lot of washing of hands today, but I want to start the day off right with clean hands before I handle this thing. Um, so we will determine whether or not I need to clean this, cook this. Clean it too, I suppose, if I need to rinse it off. But that will have to be determined because again, this is my own concoction. Get him out of there. It's nice and firm. It's definitely firmed up from the salting. I'm going to throw the briny bag away. It's definitely firmed up from being salted. Should we taste it? It's actually not leaking any excess liquid either, so we probably don't need this walled vessel forever. I'm just going to get out I'm going to get out the green screen sheet. And we're going to, I'm actually going to rinse it off real quick. I'm just to make sure there's no excess on the surface that's, because any unabsorbed salt would be on the surface still. Okay. Let's pat it dry as well. Wow. A lot of people at 5 o'clock on a Monday. I'm surprised. Is it because it's 5 o'clock? Or is it because it's Monday? I guess I'll never know. Unless I do 5 o'clock on a Monday every day. Or okay. Okay. Reasonably dry. I think we should give it a straight taste. It is the first Monday of the week. That is true. I'm going to give it a straight taste as though it were Gravlax. I'm going to take that first slice off, but I'm going to taste the second one. It's, I don't know if the camera is good enough to see, but it's translucent. It smells okay. There's no off fishiness to it at all. There's a little bit of smokiness to it. I'm not getting a lot of sweetness either, which I was worried because I did use quite a bit of powdered sugar, but it tastes. It doesn't taste like It doesn't taste like smoked salmon. It doesn't quite taste like lox. It doesn't quite taste like gravlax. And it certainly doesn't taste like raw salmon, but it's got elements of all of those in it. Right, I'm holding it way off the camera. I think eating it just plain by itself is letting it down a little bit. But I don't think I need to cook it. Although cooking it would preserve it a little bit more. Welcome, woman. Welcome in. I'm going to try it on a cracker. Of course, the true test will be, over the course of this week, do I develop gut parasites? Remember, this one was made with curing salt, smoke, powdered sugar, paprika, and some black pepper. Cream cheese? I'll do you one better. Discount mascarpone. I've been trying to use this because it's discount, so it's not going to keep super long. Okay, there's our taster. Hmm. I like it. It's not quite like any of the things I compared it to. It's a little bit it's got a little bit of each of them. The fish flavor is very mild, honestly. There's quite a bit going on. The smokiness really kind of jumps out at me. Okay, that one was good. It honestly, I think this is literally just gravlax with different spices, is what I've ended up with here. Um, let's taste this piece. This was the outer edge piece. Usually, the very first slice is too salty because it's got a full surface on it. No, I didn't. I didn't say anything about that. Okay, yeah, that outer edge slice really tastes like smoked paprika. Bit too much of that. That kind of overpowers it. So that very first slice is kind of a write off, but the inner slices are definitely working. I would eat this. I'm glad I only made a small piece because it's a little bit odd, but I like it. I need another container to contain it, but we'll put that there. And here's the fun bit. It compressed. It's only this tall. It compressed vertically as it was sitting in there, compared to a similarly sized slice of Chiyazake here that I laid on its side. Um, so the shape, the side you lay it on when you put it in determines whether or not it's flat this way or flat the other way. Because this was all cut from the same piece of salmon, and they were approximately the same size slices. Um, okay, so that one's pretty good. I could conceivably see that being cooked as well. It's not overly salty though. My concern was that it might be overly salty, and then I would have to cook it just to get the salt out of it. But I think it worked fine. Don't adulterate my flavor. Let's wipe the thing out. Use my same walled vessel here. This one was cured with curing salt, which is this stuff, which is a mixture of salt. It's mostly salt. It's overwhelmingly salt with a little bit of sugar and sodium nitrate as a preservative. And then I added powdered sugar to that. And there's something smoky in there, and I can't remember if I just used smoked paprika. And tasting that outer edge, I think I just used smoked paprika. I should have wrote that down. I can always go back to my video and watch it. Um, and black pepper. And I think honestly, tasting it now, I think I put some garlic powder on it too, because it's got some complexity to the flavor. Um, this one is gravlax, seasoned with dill and gin, and it smells like dill. Okay, I would have to watch back. When I opened it up, I could smell the smoke, so that's why I initially said potentially liquid smoke. Um, this one had two pieces of fish sandwiched together with the seasoning in the middle, and then they were put under a weight, and I flipped them approximately every 12 hours. There's a little bit of undissolved salt on the skin side. I will say that. The first thing that hits me here is it smells of dill. Quite strongly. Now, I'm going to move the gentleman before I get anything on them, and so that I can use this side space. Let's get these guys apart from each other. I've found that, first noticed this with the tuna, and then I noticed it again with the shiozake. And I think that's the reason you want to put something in between them like this when you sandwich them. When you salt under pressure, when you salt fish like this and then the flesh touches each other, it starts to adhere. And I think that the dill in the middle flavors it, but also gives it a barrier so it doesn't just glue itself into one piece. This is a pretty thin bit as well because of the pressure. So you really want to get a long slice. Again, smells good. It smells very strongly of dill. I have made gravlax before, so this one is less of an experiment, but I've never treated it with gin. I want to see how that affects the flavor. And just like the previous one, I'm pretty sure this first slice is going to be too strongly flavored from the stuff. But I'm not rinsing this one because I want that... I want bits of dill in each slice. So let's taste it straight. Much firmer. Much more of a chew to it. And I'm sure that's because it was being pressed. Oh, I bet. Much firmer. Much more solid texture. A little bit harder to slice as a result. But I also guess that would guess that means it keeps longer because it's quite a lot drier from having had the water squeezed out of it. If there had been somewhere for the water to go instead of just pooling in the bag, I think we would have had really dried this one out. It's also noticeably less salty than that one. Now that I'm into the interior, the outer surface is pretty salty. I'm guessing this piece is going to be very salty. But, and I think that's probably because we used coarse sea salt here, whereas we used that curing salt on this one, and it's so fine. I also added quite a bit of that, so maybe it was just proportions. But this is less overwhelmingly salty. I have a proper taste test for this stuff too. I want to put it on some toast. I don't have any toast, but I have bread and we can make some toast. These are the two raw ones. So I'm going to start some toast to give this one a proper taste. Let me grab a pan. I don't want oily toast, but I need a nice hot surface for it. So I'm going to use a cast iron and just do stovetop toast, stovetop dry toast in a cast iron. This should, in theory, work. I'm pleased with this one. That has worked. And again, remember, this was also a test how these behave with salmon that was use it or lose it. Um, Salmon that would have gone off if I had not done something with it that day. I'm not noticing any off flavors, not any weird fishy offness to these pieces so far. So I think this might be a winning method for using up a big. Remember that piece I had was like this big. It was a huge piece of fish, and there was no way I was gonna go through that in one sitting by myself. Um, so I wanted to see because I occasionally I'll see those and I would like to grab them, but then I'm always worried I won't get to use them. And I think we have struck gold so far. I'm really hoping that these guys strike gold because as much as this is tasty, I think it has limited application compared to these guys. Um, so yes, we are now heating up an empty, bare cast iron. While that is heating up, I'm going to put some rice on because I want a. I'm gonna make myself a little place setting to go with the shiozake, which is going to be my dinner. And we have an ad coming up, so this is a good time for me to just start some nonsense. And when it comes back, we can all taste test stuff together. Yes, I am running ads, despite the ad pad being very low, because it gives me control over the ads. You can't skip an ad if it's all default pre-roll stuff. Um, Hoping the upcoming rumored changes to how ads work is a positive change for streamers, where we have more control over the system instead of it just being like, you can run more ads now. Because I could definitely see Twitch doing that. We heard you liked ads, so now you can run even more of them. So, just gonna make myself a bowl of white rice. Rinsed. So the shiozake, I think, would be an excellent topping for that kanji we made. Or I've been told that I mispronounced it. I've been told that I've been mispronouncing it, and it's supposed to be kangi. But I think that would have been an excellent topping for that as well. If it behaves as I believe it to. It's part of the test. Okay. We're not going to excessively rinse our rice today. We're just going to give it one rinse with a large volume of water. Because I don't mind it being a little bit sticky. Okay. I can smell this hot pan over here. So let's get a piece of toast on there, and we can taste test this gravlax as nature intended. Um, you're not missing nothing over here. I'm just cutting bread. It looks exactly like when you cut bread. Uh, this is also a test for doing toast on the stovetop. I've done toast on the stovetop and it kind of worked. So let's do toast on the stovetop and make it properly work. Because even when I'm doing something basic, why not give it a test? Why not throw in a random experiment, see what it does, what it do? I'll tell you what it do, it blackens real fast. You know, I don't have a little soup bowl. Do I have appropriate vessel for serving? Um, how's it come? Ooh, real toasty. Smells like toast. Blah, blah, blah. I'm reading a recipe. Don't mind me. Blah, blah, blah. Not making my own dashi from scratch. Um, oh, perfect. Okay, that's easy proportion. 1 tablespoon of miso for 1 cup of dashi and some scallion, and I'm skipping the tofu. How you doing? Ooh, we're done. Perhaps a little bit over. So there's a toast. Let's hold it up to the mic and give it a scratch scratch. Nice and toasty on both sides. The toasty layer is very thin. It only goes in a little ways, and then it becomes squishy. So it's still very tender in the middle. But this is how I would serve gravlax, is on toast. Possibly a toasted bagel, but some kind of toasted bread. And you just kind of shave it off the skin. Because the cured fish skin is not softened up. It's really quite tough. My rice is going nuts over here. It's going pop, pop, pop. Um, One of the exciting things about the shiozake is you're supposed to be able to eat the skin, because the way it's cooked is supposed to crisp up the skin. Okay, that, you can probably barely see it. It's in the corner on a green background, red on a green background. That is how I would serve gravlax. Mm. It's firm, but your teeth go through it like butter. Mm. Salty, dill, good strong flavor of dill. Hint of sweetness to balance out the saltiness. That's a good recipe. And it works. That was the thing. I know this is a good recipe. I've done this before with sushi grade salmon. This was not. Oop, my light is blowing out the camera. This was not billed as sushi grade salmon. This was standard fish case salmon, farmed salmon, that was on its last day of use. And that was the test to see how it would turn out. And you know what? Turned out pretty good. Your local grocer or your fishmonger will probably tell you you can't use this for sushi. And I would urge caution when using raw fish in a way like this. But you can cold treat even cheap farmed salmon to make it safe. And this stuff is shipped to the stores frozen, and then they thaw it on site. So they're not going to tell you you can use it for something like this where it's uncooked. But I asked at the fish counter, and the reason that you can't, the reason they're legally not allowed to tell you that it's clean for eating, for curing or eating raw, is because as soon as they put it in the fish case, as soon as they put it in the display case with all the rest of it, the rules say it's contaminated by everything else that was in there. So everything in the case would have to be 100% sushi grade safe. So I got that explanation from the manager at the meat department once, and they said because of that we cannot tell you that this is sushi safe, and we have to advise you not to eat it raw. So make your own judgment. As a internet person, I have to say don't eat fish raw unless you yourself trust it to be clean, clean, clean. And never serve it to others unless they themselves trust it to be clean, clean, clean. And don't sell it. Full stop. You need certifications to sell. Mm. Good stuff. I'll be keeping an eye out for big slabs of salmon. Mm. Mm. All right, I'm basically just eating at this point. Mm. With the dill and the sweetness, this doesn't really need anything, but I think it would be really good served with some onion, like some pickled onion. It's not quite like lox because it does have a lot of dill, so it comes with a lot of flavor. Mm. Good stuff. And they've all reasonably dried out sitting here as well, so I think I can just wrap them up in a new plastic and they'll be good. Keep them in an airtight container. Oxygen is the enemy of anything like this. It'll get in there and undo your curing. Not that they'll spoil, but the flavors will start to go off as they oxidize. Um, mm. Big fan, big fan. And it was super easy. If you'll remember, we still got a little bit of it in there. The Maltese salted tuna had a difficult to use end result, and it used a lot of salt. There was a lot of salt in there. This used far less. Now, this isn't. That Maltese salted tuna is months old, and it's still perfectly good because it's packed in a pound of salt. Um, this is not going to keep for months. I would give this a week tops. Um, let's taste this little end piece. Set it aside because I knew it was going to be too much, but it's got all that stuff on it. Oh, oh, it's crunchy. It's crispy. Weird. I think it's the dill the dill seeds. It's very strong. Wow. Okay, yeah. That very first slice might be a write-off. Ooh, boy. Yeah, I'll be snacking on this for good stuff. Good stuff. It's also good for like weirdly shaped pieces because you can just kind of sandwich them together. Oh, thank you for the moisten. I do need that. This is a pretty salty thing. Mm. Moist. Um, yeah, so that first slice might be a write-off just because it's got so much of the outer coating on it. Let's get these guys wrapped up because they're not going to be my dinner tonight. Although that was a nice piece I just had there on that toast. The toast in the cast iron worked pretty well, but it did leave some burnt breadcrumbs in my cast iron, so it might not be worth it because now I have an extra pan to clean up. Um, I think the Gravlax is the winner so far on account of it being more dried out. So I think it will hold better. This thing is interesting. And I think if I did it, I think the lesson I've learned from this is that you can do this method. The dill is a flavoring choice. You could do this same kind of method with any flavors. We didn't try the Russian method. There was another one. I was looking up various cured salmons. There's also a Russian recipe that sounded interesting. Um, so we might try that one in the future if we get another windfall. But we're gonna pack these up. I might even bring this guy out and try and cook him and see what he does. But let's get him in a fresh bag. Wrap these guys up and return to our shiitake. Getting out a few accoutrements here. We're going to need the small pan. And we don't need that tray anymore, or that sheet anymore. Hopefully this reflective surface doesn't freak out my camera. Ooh. Hopefully I've got enough foil to I do not. That's fine, there's a fresh roll. I was hoping that little tail end would be just barely wide enough. To line this sheet, because we're supposed to line this with foil and not parchment. And I'm only going to do one. Now, that's the thing. The instructions for cooking this thing says lay it flesh side down. But since I cured them laying on their sides, they aren't gonna work that way. So that's a consideration. But that guy. Get my racks in a good position here. I'm supposed to preheat my broiler. So broil on. And while we're preheating the broiler, I'm going to make a little. Oh, I'm on the wrong side. Fish is on the table back here because I didn't want to put it on top of the heat. I should probably just leave it on the counter over there. While we're preheating our broiler, we are going to make a cup of miso soup. And I am not making my own dashi from scratch. I have done so. It's a little bit time consuming. Not massively time consuming, but it's a little bit time consuming. And I've got some granules ready to go, so we'll just use those. Cup of water, bring it to a boil until those granules dissolve. While the broiler is heating up and that water is boiling, let me go grab a green onion, or possibly two, from the front. They've largely recovered from my harvests, so we can take another generous slice. We've got some new ones coming up too. I stuck in some fresh ones. The little papery parts off. Coming back, coming back. 2 green onions. 1 green onion for the soup, 1 green onion for the salad. We're not having a salad. It's just that you say soup and salad. Um, it's a phrase. So yeah, even though we're in the middle of winter, my green onions in the window have recovered from my rather intense harvests. I was worried they might not do so. I bought some store-bought just to give the ones in the window a little bit of a break. And by the time I was done with the store-bought ones, the ones in the window had recovered and were sprouting quite generously again. And the new ones, because I saved the root ends of the store-bought ones, also are rooting and sprouting up, even though it's still February. Those green onions are aggressive little things. There's an ominous green or ominous orange, green glow, ominous orange glow in my oven from the top heating coil being on. I don't have any tofu right now, so our miso soup is going to be the most basic kind of miso soup. I actually don't have any kombu either, so I can't even put in a little bit of kombu to make it. It's going to be super basic. But that's okay. I had a big lunch today, so I don't need a. I don't need a big dinner. Oh yeah, that's what's missing. A little bit of pickle and a tamagoyaki rolled egg. I don't have the desire to make a rolled egg at this stage. Oh, but see, that one has the. Okay, I'm feeling better about this being on the side. Um, I mean, this fish being laying on its side. Because half of these have it served completely laying on its side, and the other half of them have it where it kind of is laid on the flesh side and then slumps over. Um, None of them are standing straight up. Clearly not an issue. Okay, our broth has boiled and our dashi has dissolved. Um, Turn the heat off, let it stop boiling because you can scorch miso pretty easily. Um, the limiting factor now is that my rice is hasn't given me a countdown yet. I should have started that right away, probably. I'm putting a lot of green onions in this. Okay. Lots of green onions. And a big old table. I'm doing this way on the back burner. I should do. It's already boiled. The heat's off, so I can just bring it over here. I just chop the green onion with some scissors directly into it. And then we're gonna open up my pretty sticky bag of miso. Believe it or not, it's white miso, even though it's seems to have aged a bit into a bit of a darker brownish color. It was never actually white. White miso isn't ever truly white, but it's usually a little bit less reddish brown than that. I need to do more things with miso because my miso kind of sits there a while. The rule is 1 tablespoon of miso for a cup of dashi, and I just eyeballed this with a tablespoon, the spoon I would use at the table. We'll get it all dissolved. Sure smells like miso soup. Come on, rice, you're holding us up. Well, I'm going to hope that the rice catches up to us because the fish has to start at some point. Get my panel back open. We have an ad starting soon. I will wait. I will wait until that thing says that it has finished playing its ad. I think I need a whisk, and not a small one. Oop. Our broiler is preheated. Okay. Our broiler is hot. The thing clicked off, so I'm going to put the ad is in progress. It's not going to go anywhere if I don't do it this second. I'll wait. Just for you people. I do everything I do for you. It sure looks like miso soup. It's getting that sort of fun cloudy look to it where the miso separates a little bit. Since our fish is laying on its side, I'm a little bit worried about it sticking, and I'm probably going to have to give it a flip once it's in there. And it only goes for... It doesn't go for very long. I read like 5 different recipes for this stuff. Okay. Five, four, three, two, one. Welcome back from the ad. We're going to put our piece of fish in our quote-unquote grill. Since my skin is not skin side the right way around, we're going to flip it halfway through, which is going to be after 5 minutes. So, real quick, real soon. Oh, and good timing. My rice should be done just when we take the fish out because it just clicked over to have its countdown. Good timing. And while we wait, I can talk about tomorrow. So obviously, I have a very hearty meal in plan for tomorrow. Hearts as far as the eye can see. We have, of course, I already showed off the lamb's heart, but I've also got romaine hearts. I picked up some heart of palm. I've got it's a pun, but I found not just a beet, a heart beet, a particularly heart-shaped beet. Oh, was that? No, that wasn't everything. There was another heart. I'm blanking on it now. Oh, I didn't write it down. Heart, 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 heart. No, I think that was 4 hearts. 4 hearts. Heart of tomorrow. No, it's just 4 hearts. I have an interesting idea. Oh, no, I was right. There was 5 hearts. I was right. There were 5 hearts. I already had it. That's why I forgot about it, because it wasn't in the front. So I didn't just pick it up. Artichoke heart. Dessert? What you talk about? You don't need no dessert. I don't have a dessert planned. We could ad-lib a dessert when we get in the moment. The plan, I have a plan for it though, not just the standard, I'm going to cook it, take one bite, and buzz off. I'm going to cook it. And then we're going to slide in the other room for a Valentine's Day just chatting. For anyone who wants to hang out, who doesn't have anything better to do on Valentine's Day. I just successfully test ran the Switch. You could play games. I could play games leading up to it, transfer into the kitchen. I've been using this. Okay, it wasn't a test run of the Switch. It was a test run of the capture setup for streaming. I've been using the Switch. That wasn't that, but the capture setup, and the capture setup works just fine. Like there wasn't even any delay. It was perfect. It was smooth as butter. So we could play games. I'm Valentine's Day event. Stay tuned. I'm likely to start early. I'm not exactly sure when I want to start, but I'm likely to start early and then transition into the dinner and then transition into after dinner. Because I know I don't have anything else going on Valentine's Day, and I would hazard some other folks are in a similar boat and just need someone to hang out with. on what I have heard described as Single People's Appreciation or Single People Reminder Day. Okay. As mentioned, this thing needs to be flipped. He's looking cooked. Stick him back in, another 5 minutes. But no, to answer your question in a very literal sense, I don't have a dessert planned, but we could concoct one. I do have that mascarpone that should probably get used since it is short-dated cheese. And it's a very, very soft cheese, so it goes off even faster than your normal short-dated cheese. So yeah, that's the plan. That's my plan. Tune in whenever you see me live. Don't feel any pressure to get here right away or stay for the whole time. I'm going to use one of the little Pyrexes for my miso soup. Since I don't have a proper miso soup bowl. And they're just about the right size. Oh, they smell good. Oh, miso soup always smells so good. I wish I could give you the smells. Frequently I'm doing stuff and it's just like, ooh, the smells. Right now, the smell of miso. And the salmon is sizzling in there. Our broiler is kicking on and off as it cycles. So I'm not sure that this is the ideal method of cooking it, honestly. I should deposit the miso soup in our place setting. You know what? We could use. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at myself. I'm going to use my most pretentious plate for this piece of fish. Because why not? And the blue bowl can be my rice bowl. They came in a set. I so rarely have cause to use them, but they were so cool, and they came as a set of 3 for $1 at Goodwill. Because whoever had them before clearly also didn't know what to do with them because they looked brand new, looked completely unused, brand new. There's our rice. Turn the beeper off. And the rice provided us helpfully with a timer for the fish. So let's get it out of there. Let's turn our broiler off. It's been in there for 10 minutes. It is hot in there. It sure looks like a piece of fish. Yes, the ginkgo leaves are metal. They're very lightweight, so I assume they're aluminum. But they've got a finish on them, some kind of coating. They're not just bare metal. Um, but yeah, they're very rigid too. So there might be some. They might be an alloy or something. Don't stick. Okay, that side looks a little bit better. It's got those little brown spots on it. For a reminder, what's on the fish? We treated it with some diluted vodka, um, let it dry out, and then it's just got salt. And we've just baked the heck out of it, so any alcohol that was in there is long gone. And I've got a leafy green, actually, to decorate our little plate with. I don't have shiso leaf because it's the middle of winter and the stuff that was growing in the driveway is all dead. But I do have some arugula, which I just try to keep on hand these days because I love it so. I'm trying to pick out the flattest leaves so they don't ride up. Normally I just grab this stuff in handfuls. Um, Pardon me a moment. I heard an odd noise coming from the other room. I'm going to check on it. Oh, I know what that odd noise is. That's the sound of my the lamp I use for lighting my photo station. I turned it on and I left it on, and it heats up when you leave it on. Um, so it's the sound of it heating up. Ta-da! Ta-da! And oh, I still need that pot holder. The edge of our rice is hot. The one thing about rice cookers I don't like is that this thing doesn't have a handle. So you end up having to get out a pot holder to hold it because the hot part is the only part. Although it's not as hot because it's not on a fire, it's on a little coil that only goes up to the boiling point. I only washed my rice once, so it is a little bit sticky, but that's fine. It's fine. Okay. If you want rice that's better than this rice, don't shortcut it the way I shortcutted it. I knew what I was doing. My rice is kind of sticky and not super fluffy because I kind of shortcutted it. Drizzle of sesame oil. Sprinkle of seasoned rice vinegar. Seasoned rice vinegar has sugar, salt, brown sugar added to the rice vinegar. That's enough of those. We're going to add the rest of this to the miso soup. Since there's nothing else in the miso soup besides green onions and miso, we can go over a little bit on the green onion. And the toasted sesame. So the fish did not take on as much color as I think I was hoping. The recipes never asked me to oil it. It did ask me to oil the sheet, but not the fish. And I think putting a little bit of oil on the fish would have developed the surface color quite a lot more. Let me go take a quick photo, and we'll come back and we'll actually taste this thing because that is the experiment here. Oh, where's my camera? Where did I put my camera? How could I have done this to myself? I was so prepared. I think a little piece of ginger probably would be good with this too. Actually, before I take any more photos, oh no! Oh no! Oh no! That was almost really bad. My mic pack slipped out of my pocket. It almost yanked itself free from the line. That wouldn't have been good. Putting a little bit of ginger on it for appearances. Okay. 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 Coming back. Coming back. Returning. Returning. Crossing. Crossing. Yeah, putting the miso soup out here early was a good idea because it let it develop that kind of cloudy look. Whenever you move it, it agitates and the clouds all kind of mush back together. Anyways, this is what we came here to test, so let's give it a test. Everything else is a side dish. Our skin is dry. It's not, doesn't strike me as that it's going to be crispy crispy. And it doesn't break off super easily. That's really quite salty. The flesh is flaking off. Um, you definitely have to eat it with something. It's really quite salty. A lightly seasoned and unsalted rice balances it out pretty well. You definitely have to eat it with something. This is not a have a piece of fish and just eat it as a piece of fish. I would say you take a piece of it, plunk it on some. Yeah, I made stupid rice, so this is harder than it should be. Yeah, yeah, that's how you eat it. So, just taking a bite of it by itself, it tastes like salt. Um, the saltiness overwhelms it. You really have to eat it with a bite of rice on the same mouthful. When you do that, the rice balances out the saltiness, and you get this light salmony flavor. It's actually a very delicate flavor underneath that saltiness. Um, so yeah, it's not preserving it this way isn't general use. I can't say that this would be. You couldn't use this in any application in place of fresh salmon. Um, but compared to the tuna, which was preserved, the flavor here is much more delicate, and you don't need a lot of rice in order to make it palatably salty instead of too salty. So and I'll admit I added a little bit more salt. Rank them in order of taste. I think the Gravlax is the winner in terms of taste, just straight up, followed by this guy. I really like the delicate flavor of the salmon in this one. My own concoction is not bad, but I'm gonna rank it third. Um, the Gravlax is good enough to eat straight, plain by itself. Um, this stuff, like I said, really must be eaten with something. It's too much on its own. The fun part, and this will have to wait for a later day. The fun part from my reading that really made me want this to work is that these guys aren't going in the fridge for preservation. They're each going to get individually wrapped in cling wrap and put in the freezer. These are supposed to be able to be frozen and then thaw out without much degradation at all, and then you chuck them in the roast like this. Um, that's what I really want. Let's taste this skin. It's a little bit softer than I think it's supposed to be, but well, the skin has a little bit of a crisp on the outside, but it's got a little bit of chewiness on the inside. I think if we had managed, if I had made these laying correctly, so that when I broiled it, the skin could just be facing straight up at the heat element, it would have crisped it up. The skin is actually less salty than the flesh, which is interesting. Let's taste this miso soup. I think I know what it's going to taste like. I have a sneaking suspicion I know what it's going to taste like. But let's do it just for the sake of it. Tastes like miso soup. Mm. If you've never had miso soup, I can't explain it to you. It tastes like miso soup. It's savory, but it's savory in a very unique way. If you've had miso soup, then you know what this tastes like, because this tastes like miso soup. Um, well, exciting. Uh, we will have to revisit these down the line, right? It's so good. It's such a good thing. It's so simple. Um, Normally it's got bits of tofu in there as well, which does not contribute to the flavor. Um, we're gonna have to revisit the remaining pieces here down the line, um, but I'm gonna trust the instructions, individually wrap these, and freeze them. You individually wrap them so that they don't stick to each other in the freezer, so you can pull one out. So I'm gonna just put a little piece of plastic wrap around each one of them, and then put them in a bag together. Um, and we can test that down the line. They're thin enough. If I pick this one up, they're thin enough that I suspect you wouldn't even have to thaw them. That you could just take the wrap off and throw them right in there, and they would cook through from frozen. I suspect that would work. So we will have to test that down the line. But we can't test it now because they need to get hard frozen, and that's going to be at least overnight. And tomorrow's a different project. So yeah, here's my dinner. Nice light dinner. It's a breakfast. It's definitely it's similar to a Japanese breakfast. We're gonna have to make a full. We could do a series of full breakfasts. I could do a full English and a full American and a full Japanese. Oh, snooze that ad. I was about to play an ad, and I'm gonna wrap us up and send us off. Um, uh, everybody showed up. A bunch of people showed up. People showed up for a surprise wrong day show, so that's exciting. Um, Thanks for coming out. I wasn't sure how long this was going to be, so I started it late, and it went a little bit longer than I had feared. So, right. Uh, Tune in tomorrow for whatever I end up doing around this crazy heart dinner. Um, let's see who's on a Monday that we can raid off into. Um, you know who we haven't seen in a while? Jen. Jen the Human. Let's go see Jen the Human. Um, who is playing La Mulana right now. Um, there's rice stuck to my pot holder. Yeah, so thanks for coming out. That was fun. That was exciting. We had a bunch of successes. I was worried we would have 2 successes and a failure, but I think we had 3 successes, one of them maybe like a half success. Um, None of these were outright fails. Everything was tasty and just generally pretty nice. Um, yeah, so I think I've already talked over my whole spiel for today and tomorrow. So I guess I'll let it let I'll let the timer go and I'll stare you down.